Buongiorno, good morning everybody. Sorry I'm a couple of minutes late, but a lot of prep today, a lot of things to get out. So today we're doing a very traditional Easter recipe that everybody loves. So what I'm going to start with is telling you a little bit about this recipe. So we are making a Pizza Rustica. Now, you know, the true thing is these are typical of southern Italy, typical of the Naples region and a lot of area around there. And when these were made, there's really no official name for this dish. It's called Pizza Rustica, Pizza Rustica is a rustic pizza, but you'll hear it Pizza Ripiena, Pizza Chiena, and then here in New Jersey you'll hear it Pizza Gaina, something like that. Something I'd never heard of until I moved here. But anyway, what it just basically means is a stuffed pizza. So you have a nice crust and it's stuffed. Some people make it more like a thick pizza with no set side. Some people make it in a straight-sided pan, like I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna do it in a spring form because I like the way the sides get nice and dark and I can pop it off nice and easy. Some people put it in a regular pie plate. So there's a lot of ways to do this. There is no rhyme or reason. Some people put them in rectangular dishes, but it's about making a good dough crust, filling it with, today, what we've got. I almost wasn't gonna do this because I wasn't gonna be able to get out to a store to get some of the ingredients I put in here, but I have enough and I'm gonna make one anyway. We're also gonna make one which is non-traditional, but it's a vegetarian one. I made one to take to a family function some years ago, and it was a hit. So it doesn't go with the tradition. The tradition of these pizza rustica is that you're having all the meats and the eggs and the dairy that you gave up during Lent, and this is the celebration, the culmination of Easter week, where then you celebrate and have all these rich foods again. So I do have prosciutto. I have a nice little calabrese salami here, like a sliced sausage. And I've got a couple different kinds of cheese. I've got fresh mozzarella. I have shredded mozzarella. I have a little bit of fontina cheese. I'm going to probably throw a little of that into. And then, of course, I always have my good pecorino romano that I'm going to mix in with my ricotta, which I was sure to get enough of that. I think I have plenty. So first thing I'm going to do, the key flavor for my vegetarian one is I saute onions, and I layer it with thin sliced zucchini and the caramelized onions, and it just has this phenomenal flavor. So I'm going to get the onions cooking right now. So I'm going to cut those up first, and if I can find my big knife. So I've got so much stuff. You see, I'm in a different direction today. I needed the whole counter because I got a lot of stuff here. All right. There we go. So I'm going to just slice up the onion, which I just totally did not slice in half, but that's okay. Because I looked up. Could have cut my finger off. Nah, I'm good enough for that. All right. So I could have hidden it, but you know, I'm pretty straight up with you guys. And I can leave my trash can open today and nobody can see it. This is awesome. One thing I can't stand is the trash can being open in the background, and sometimes I forget to close it. Okay, so I'm gonna do these, not totally teeny tiny, but enough that I want them to, you know, be able to spread around the layers. So I've got my little one cast iron pan right here. And I'm actually gonna use my big stove behind me today. And we'll get these sauteing and caramelizing while we're doing the other stuff. We can listen to the music of the sizzle in the background. Besides, nothing gets the house starting to smell good better than onions or garlic. Okay. Whoop, there we go. All right, so I've already got olive oil in the pan here. I'm just gonna let these simmer because we're gonna do that pie second. So by the time we're ready for them, they'll be ready. So I hope you guys are good today. I didn't tell you what kind of Easter pie I was making when I put my little sign thing out, but you know, I was going to surprise you. And of course, I found one big piece I didn't chop up. There we go. Little extra oil. And we'll leave that ready. Let those go. I mean, check on them. I put them on high to get them started, but then I'll turn them down. Let them simmer. Okay, so now, what shall we start with first? We're going to make the dough first because that'll give us a minute to let it rest while we make the filling. Okay, so the dough we're going to start with is 3, and I promise I'll put this up today, 3.5 cups of all-purpose unbleached, unless of course you want to put a little bit of, you know, I put sometimes, like I said, I often put in a little bit of white whole wheat. Gives it a little extra something, and it doesn't really take much from the flavor or the consistency. 2, 3.5. That is what I said. Yep. 1 tablespoon of baking powder. So let's get a spoon from the table. You know, just for reference, in case you can't find, all right, I'm going to be nice. This is a tablespoon. If you ever take this and fill it up and pour it into your normal dinner spoon, it's exactly the same. So, you know, it's just a gimmick to make you buy another set of spoons. All the ones I've tried are all right. So some of them are deeper, some of them are longer, but you know what? They all measure a tablespoon. At least, like I said, the ones I've tried. Okay, tablespoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just gonna do that. Close enough. Okay, 16 tablespoons of cold butter. No, I didn't take it out yet. Usually I try to get a little more ready, but I'm close. So 16 tablespoons is 2 sticks of butter, equaling 1/2 pound, equaling, I forget how many grams, but I will have it for you. Does it say on here? I can actually see today. 113 grams of butter. Okay, hold on. Check my onions. Oops. And I'm going to turn them down. I got them all started. I like to get them, you know, rolling, and then I turn them down and let them simmer. Even if it is on my big burner. All right. So this is how I do my butter. You can do it any way you want, but I do love my I just go down the middle. Sometimes I quarter it, bring it back, and then I just cut my little, and then I end up with these awesome little cubes. Of course, kids like, you know, little cubies. So anyway, I'm gonna throw those in. And then these are way better for doing butter than any knife. Because the knives, because they're sharper at the end and thicker at the top, I don't know what it is, this is all the same thickness. For some reason, it always comes off better on this. Sometimes on the knife, and then you're worried about cutting yourself. So, all right, let's see. And then we're gonna use, normally I'd use about 4 large eggs, but I actually have medium eggs. Remember I was saying the other day I can't find medium eggs. I couldn't find medium white eggs. I do have medium brown eggs, but anyway. We're just gonna give this a stir real quick with the dry stuff mix in. the way. And of course, so like I said, instead of doing 4 eggs, because they're medium ones, I'm going to use 5. No shells. We do those 1 or 2 at a time. It's a very simple crust. It's a little bit more than like my regular American pie crust, which is pretty much just butter, flour, and water and pinch salt. This has a little more substance to it, but it has a heavier filling. So just let that mix for a minute. Because, like I said, because these eggs are little, I may end up with 1 more egg. Let's see how this comes together. Little speed never hurt anybody. Oh yeah, this is nice. All right, so sometimes it doesn't, doesn't make a full. Oh, let's do it for another minute. Totally coming together. Okay. All right, we have this beautiful dough. It's really very nice. Actually, it's just right. Just get it all together here real quick. Nope. It's the onion on there. That's okay, it's going to be onion in there anyway. All right. So I have this beautiful piece of ball of dough. So I'm going to put it in here, and I'm just going to cover it. Actually, so I have this foil right here. And I'm just going to cover it loosely. Just let it rest for a few. So, clean up the counter with my handy dandy scraper. I hope you all are doing well today. It's gloomy here in New Jersey. Can't see it. I tried to cover my window. I know it was a sheer curtain, but don't want too much brightness behind me. All right. So now we're going to start to make our filling. And we are going to start with, I'm going to use 3 pounds of ricotta. Now, you don't need 3 pounds of ricotta for 1 pie. I'm going to make filling that's going to fill about 2 or 3. So what I have here is this is my 8-inch springform. I want to make sure, because I only have so much ricotta, so I decided not to use my big one. I'm gonna definitely get 2, but I think I'm gonna have enough to make a 3rd one. And if not, I have a couple small pans that if I have anything left over, I'll just do that. So just to show you what I'm using, we'll come back to those. So, but this recipe should make you 2, potentially 9 or 10-inch pies. We'll see how far the crust goes. Okay. Mr. Piggy spatula. Okay, that's 1. And of course, like every good Italian mother, I save my ricotta containers because this is what I send home food to the kids, and I don't worry about not getting it back. And then they can recycle or they can send me something. They probably won't, but that's the way it goes. They just wait for mom to send them stuff because it tastes better. So that was a 2-pound container, and this one was half full. because we ate some with dinner the other night, which is perfect because it left me with 3 pounds, which is my recipe. All right, 3 pounds of ricotta. It really comes better if you have good fresh ricotta, which here in the States sometimes you hear them call it basket cheese. It comes in the basket. It drains nice. It's nice and dry. This is actually a pretty dry ricotta, so it's not too bad. So I'm gonna put some other stuff in here. It'll maybe an extra egg, bond it together better. But like I said, the good Italian ricotta, or if you make homemade ricotta, like it's been suggested to me and I have done before, just the longer you let it drain in the cheesecloth, and at the end, the drier it gets, and then it's just dry and but not dry as in like Parmesan, but like dry and creamy, and it's so good. This is actually a pretty decent little ricotta, so you know what? Coronavirus cooking in the kitchen, the quarantine kitchen here, Dorina's quarantine kitchen, not somebody else's quarantine kitchen. So what I'm going to put in here is some cheese. Now, sorry, but I'm going to have to grate some with you guys because all of a sudden at the last minute I realized that we pretty much finished what I had in my cheese container last night at dinner. So I'm going to, you guys get to grate some cheese with me. So this is Locatelli Romano. It's a name brand of a very good, from Italy, Romano cheese, Pecorino Romano. So it's sheep's milk. Okay, so I'm going to cut off a chunk. Set this aside. And I'm going to cut off the paper here because don't need that. Even though, of course, somebody gets a little piece of brown paper in their pie, they'll know that it's a good expensive cheese. It might be a good little cheat way to show what good products you use. Just kidding. Don't think it's edible. Okay. Little pieces of paper here. Make sure it's all off. Okay. And I'm just going to, I'm going to use my bigger, I've got the small grate and then the little bit bigger small grate. I'm just going to use that. This is more of a shred grate. Because this is going into a mix like this, you could even put it on the mozzarella side and have some bigger piece. Actually, that's not bad. I may do a little of each because that'll give you some little bites of pungency, you know, here and there. You'll have this all throughout, but let's do a little bit of the bigger. Oh, and that's easier to grate too. That's about, I think that's about a good 1/2 to 3/4 cup. I don't even know what my official recipe, I have an official recipe. I don't even know what that, I don't follow it. I just put in my cheese. That over there. That's gonna fall. Okay, so I'm gonna put in a good handful. And a little more. Hell, put it all in. Just make sure I don't lose those. Okay, so now I've got cheese in here. Let me put this other cheese bowl here. Excuse me, just gonna check my onions. Oh, these are beautiful. I just put them on a smaller burner because I had them on my biggest burner on low, but I just put them on a smaller burner. Now let's clean up my little trash bin here. Okay. So now I'm going to put in a sprinkle of pepper. Sometimes I put white pepper. I didn't know where it was right now. I don't care. I am going to put a little pinch of salt. Doesn't really need it because we're having all the salty cheese and then the salted meats, but one little pinch just in case there's some corner that it doesn't cover. Mixing all these together. Now, if you're using a really dry ricotta, you may end up wanting to put a drop or two of milk. I'm not putting any milk in this right now because this is not a wet ricotta, but it's definitely not the driest, but it's pretty nice. It's taking a while to fall off, so that's pretty good. Now, one of my favorite ingredients to put in here, which I do, which is a very Italian thing. I think this was originally Northern Italian. I actually haven't really researched it all that much, but I do love nutmeg, and they use a lot of nutmeg over there, and I love nutmeg in anything I put ricotta in, just about. So you can, this is optional, put in as much or as little as you want. There's something about a fresh grated nutmeg. It smells so good. You know, you can buy stuff for aromatherapy, or you can just also have stuff in your kitchen that is part of natural aromatherapy. Like those onions cooking behind me right now, I can tell you, it smells so good. I usually judge my nutmeg by the color. I can tell when there's enough by what the color looks like. It needs just a little more. You gotta have the right amount of specks of the little brown specks. Okay, so far we have ricotta, we have pepper, just one pinch of salt, some nutmeg. Oh, and I'm like, wait a minute, I already put the eggs in? No, I put the eggs in the crust. We're gonna put a couple eggs in here. Usually I put 1 per pound, ballpark. I'm gonna start with 2. We're gonna see what it looks like. If it's too wet, now of course the eggs do bond it, so. Okay. You know, I'm gonna get my cool whisk. I like this whisk, my flat whisk. The stuff doesn't get stuck in the middle, and it's a little bit of a firmer whisk, metal pieces. So let's see. It breaks the eggs up better than a spatula. Regular whisk will work too, but since I have this, I'm using it. But I do recommend it. You know, I think I can put a 3rd one in. Hang on, right, overflow here. Okay, 1 more egg. Now, lots of ways you can do this. You could throw, most of the time when I make this, I throw in cubed. I get thick chunks or thick slices of my ham, my prosciutto, my mortadella, whatever meats I'm using, my sausages and salamis. I tend to cube mine. I don't usually do the thin layers. This time, that's what I've got, but I'm not gonna quite thin layer. I'm gonna kind of clump it around a little bit. You can, when you cube it, you can throw it all in here together and then just put it in your crust. You can do it in layers. You could do a layer of the ricotta, a layer of the meat. Make it how you like it. Make it how you want it, whatever's easier for you, whatever your taste buds. If you like chunks of things, then cut your meat in chunks if you have big pieces of meat right now. If not, if all you have is sliced cold cuts right now, this is Quarantine Kitchen. We are making Easter the best we can. So I think this time I'm gonna layer it because I think the slices will get lost in here and get too clumped up. So let's check out our crust. All right, I'm going to, I think I'll just still use this board here. It's nice and clean. And let me get my rolling pin. I know I forgot something. Let's see if I can reach it from here. Ta-da! Give this baby a nice wipe. Always do. And we're going to get out some of our dough. Now, normally I would probably let the dough rest a good half an hour, but this is fine right now. For you, I'll suck it up, do it a little early. All right, so now I still have some flour here. Now what's cool about this is a rustic pizza. Let's see, so some of that here. Because it's rustic, it doesn't really matter how perfect. In fact, I think they're prettier when they're imperfect. So you're gonna start with a nice round piece, if you can. It doesn't really matter. You know those cutting boards that have the circles on them for the baking? It's a bunch of baloney, because then you're like freaking out trying to get it perfect. Just roll it, and then you can piece it together if you need to. So just going, always start in the middle when you're rolling, and always let up a little when you get to the end, otherwise you're pushing down and you're having skinny edges. You don't want that. So you always stop rolling before you get to all the way to the end. So it's all about even, see, I need a little more flour, a little chunk of butter there. I'm gonna go turn off the onions, hold on. They're perfect. Okay. You can make your crust as thick or thin as you like. I like mine kind of on the thin side, but then not so thin that it doesn't hold up. Then I'm going to show you how to make a nice lattice top for the top of it. No kidding, huh? Lattice top for the top. All right. Now, there we go. That's beautiful. And if it tears, because this is not a real elasticy dough. If it tears, then just stick it back together. No big a deal, as they say. Okay, so now there is one trick that I did not do, that I usually do, but you can, as long as you're nice and floured, you should be able to roll this up on your rolling pin with a little piece of butter that's stuck underneath. That was a broken piece because it was sticking. There you go. You should be able to have it all just like this. If not, the other way to do that, to put a piece of plastic wrap or a piece of wax paper down, roll on top of that, then you pick the whole thing up. Okay, we're going to now take this and unroll it right over the pan. Ta-da! Oh, it's all, now it's going to go in. It's not going to come all the way up the sides unless you rolled it bigger, but that's okay. We don't need it all the way to the top. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of stand it up against the sides best I can. Some sides are higher than the other, but that's okay because we're going to fix that. You guys are learning all my secrets. All my stuff that looks perfect is actually really imperfect. There's so much beauty in the imperfect. Okay, so now that I've got this all kind of stuck to the sides, I'm going to show you what it looks like before I actually start to trim it and fix it. So see, this side is coming over the top. This side has a dent in it, but that's okay, because I'm going to take this beautiful thing, trim around the whole top. And I'm going to take these already rolled out pieces and fill in. And just squeeze it together. This kind of dough will do that very nicely. And that's pretty close to a perfect hole-filled crust. Oh, one piece down here, kind of deep. Okay, cut these extra little random pieces off because I'm funky like that. And I even have a tablespoon of dough left. Put it with there. So now I have this fully filled crust. Now I'm just going to kind of cut this. I'm just kind of taking my ricotta that's all pretty much spread out in the bowl here. I'm just going to kind of cut it in half. Not use more than half of it. I might use a little less. So let's see. Oops. I threw Mr. Piggy in the sink. I can use him. So I'm just going to spread this around the bottom. Just in a thin layer. Okay, it's a thin layer in the bottom. And now I'm going to do the other stuff. So I'm going to, honestly, I really think I'm going to try to make these in little kind of chunks, or crunch them up a little bit here. You can put them flat. I'm going to make them in little, some of them are staying, some of them aren't. I'm going to crush them a little, try to make them in little, so they're more like chunks instead of just a flat piece. I'm just squeezing it. You know, you can fold them. You could roll them up if they'll stay. Yeah, it kind of stays. You can fold them in half and in quarters. Will they stay? Stick them in the ricotta. Oh, that's kind of cute. You can quarter it, third it, you know, make a little triangle and kind of stick it in the ricotta. Stick the open side down so it stays. And then, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I've got 12 pieces of these little teeny sausages. I'm going to put in, see, I can't have, can't have prosciutto without having a piece. I'm going to break these in pieces. Just kind of dot them on the extra sides here. Okay, so you can see I've got the meat in here. Now I'm going to put in some of this fresh ricotta. I think I'm going to cut these in smaller pieces. I've got them in slices, but I think I'm going to maybe quarter them and dot them around. Again, any way you want to do this, there's no right or wrong way. And whichever way you find you like, I mean, you could switch it up every time, but honestly, I think most of the time we tend to find a way we like it, and then that becomes our family tradition. So create your family tradition. Although this year, all traditions are out the window, but we are keeping up with tradition at the same time. So now, a little more of this. Spread it around, make it a little easier to spread. Can't wait. Okay, and next layer. So some more salami. I liked that little triangulated thing. So see, as we're going, we're just discovering new ways. So remember, fold it in half again. You got this cute little triangle. Stick it in the ricotta. It stays. You got chunks instead of just flat pieces. But you can also just lay them flat. And if you have a lot more cold cuts than I do, because this is all I've got lots of cheeses, then you may want to go ahead and put layers. Layers of ham, layers of prosciutto, mortadella, capicola, whatever you like. Any of it will be good. Let's see, a little bit more prosciutto. So we have such a hard, prosciutto to me is crack. This is like some of the best stuff in the world. Like I could be a vegetarian except for prosciutto and pancetta. I could give up regular bacon, but pancetta to me is like the best bacon. Okay. And some more mozzarella. Well, you know what? Let's put a little of this fontina that I have here. And I do have some shredded mozzarella. I'll put some of that in one of these layers too. And it doesn't have to be the same thing in every layer. We are being the quarantine kitchen. We can do whatever we want. But also, you can do this. This is that red wax on this fontina cheese. Okay. So I think I'm just going to cut this into little mini cubes. Just kind of sprinkle them around. Be extra. These are a little bit more pungent than it's not super pungent, but it's a little bit more so than a mozzarella. So put some chunks of this in. You get a nice melted chunk of fontina cheese. Fontina, oh, love it. If you've never had it, try it sometime. And it melts so good. It makes a really nice pizza. Okay, got some of that on there. What else? We'll throw a little handful of the shredded mozzarella too. Let's make this baby good. And we're gonna do one more layer of the ricotta. I think I'm not going to make this, I'm not making this all the way to the top, even though you're seeing the dough all the way to the top. That's going to be folded down. This is going to be a good 2-inch high, maybe a little bit more. Little hole here, got to fill it. No empty spots for me. And I've got this nice filled thing. Now, you know, maybe I'll just throw a couple little pieces of slices here. There we go. Just to top it, make it pretty under the crust. All right. Let's throw these last 2 pieces of mozzarella in here that are floating around. Okay. That's how you clean the counter. Just throw it in the pie. Now, push this aside for 1 second. Clean off this. And now I'm going to make the top. I don't know what it is about making pies, any kind of pie, fruit pie, meat pie. It's like the artist in me. I love creating the pretty top. Even when it's kind of grungy and rustic-y, I just love, I don't know, just one of those things. So I've got my little disc here and my rolling pin. Put a little flour on the pin, a little bit on top of yeah, there we go. Make these a little bit longer. Oh, okay. There, my bangs were itching my face. All right, these you want to be careful here with. This you're going to make one side a little longer than the other. You want to make sure they're going to go across, or it's going to be close to the same size as the pie top. Now you can cut them straight with a knife, which I do sometimes. You can cut them with the ziggy-zaggy cutter. Oh, Okay, excuse me 1 second. I think I had flour on my face. It was itching. Okay. It's a little piece of, there we go. So, honestly, a lot of times I make these plain without the zigzag, but I'm going to do it because it's pretty this time. Just because we're doing everything a little bit less conventional today. So, I like to do these with the thick strips. Strips. You can do them 1 inch, you can do them 2 inch. I like doing the big fat ones. They look really nice, and in the grand scheme, it's easier to crisscross it. But I also love doing the skinny ones. I tend to do the skinny stripes more on my sweet pies, and the fat ones more on my savory pies. It's just something that's just kind of sort of happened. Okay, so what we do is we take these big fat pieces. Yeah. And we're just going to lay it across. So I'm going to do one across the middle, then I'm going to cross over. So see, I've got a crisscross now. Now I'm going to lift up one side. I'm going to lay another one over. And I'm going to lift up the other side and lay this one over. Now I just need 2 more pieces. So I'm going to cut these pieces off here. So I have just enough here, I think, to make this whole pie without breaking in. I might need a little piece of dough. That little blob that I threw in here before. Okay. Probably just enough. I just need 2 more stripes. Stripes. Flour, a little fatter here, and because they're the 2 side ones, they don't have to be as long because they're a smidge shorter than the center one, which is the longer one. And don't worry about them being perfect. The beauty of perfection is imperfection. You ever seen a flower where all the petals are the exact same size? Nope. Beauty. Okay, so now you're going to pick up the 2 side ones on those. Put this across. And flip them back over. And the 2 side ones on this side. And you have your crisscross in your pan. So now I'm going to take those sides, and I hope you can see. I'm going to take the sides and just roll them down with those pieces of dough from the strips and roll them in together so that the outside, excuse me. There we go. That helps. Can't see as good, but that's okay. So you just take these outside, the outside walls, and roll it down. So if you can see, and just rolling and including those pieces, the strips. So you can be really rusticy and just leave it like this, just kind of pinch it a little bit together. And I actually kind of like that look. Or you can, like here's where I patched it, so I'm going to make sure those patch pieces are in it. And I think it looks kind of cool just like that. But you can also take your fingers and pinch it, a little bit, just a smidge to make sure that they're staying nice and tight. Just a little pinch. Doesn't really add much to the design, but a little bit and a little bit more of the functional, and it's ready to go. The last thing I do with this, whoops, can't use that. I can use this one, is I will take 1 egg. And I will take 1 pastry brush. You can do a whole egg or you can do just the egg white. And and brush the top. Makes it nice and shiny and pretty. Try not to get the middle, you know, you're gonna get some of the ricotta showing through. Just get this on the dough. It's not really bad, and right now I actually have the, don't forget to do the sides. I have the salami that's showing through. It's gonna look pretty on the top. The little layer I put on the tippy top. And just, like I said, don't forget to do the side crust. And it's so pretty. So that's ready to go in the oven. Then I'm gonna bake these a little later just because I want to be able to watch them and stay on top of it. So right now I'm not doing that. So they're gonna sit there for a minute. So now we're gonna do our next one. Do the same thing we just did. I'm gonna show you how to make the filling for the next. Put it back in there. Let's do it this way, it's a little easier. Isn't this fun? I think so. You know, we need traditions in our lives. It's what bonds us together. You know, it's the things of our heritage that we bring out and give us something to look forward to. Our taste buds feel it. We just know when it's that time of the year for different foods, we start to crave it. And because most ethnicities eat seasonal, because more than here in America, maybe down in the South, there's a lot of other cultures are farmers or hunters or gatherers or whatever by their history, and they continue it, and it's a part of their food culture and just their whole family thing. I'm going to show you just really quickly, just to show you how to do the pie the other way, like I was telling you, the pie crust. So what you do is you do it on top of wax paper, which I still flour. There's obviously a piece of butter in the middle of this because it kept making a hole. Okay. Now sometimes the sides are kind of short. I'm going to put a piece of dough in the middle. I'm going to fix that hole. There we go. And you know, like I was saying before about those pastry cutting boards that have the circles on them, honestly, if it costs more because of that, don't waste your time. It's just something else to make you try to do it perfect. No such thing. It just stresses you out. Okay. I think that's all nice and even. You know, you can touch it and you can feel if it's not even or not. So what you do now is you just pick up your whole crust. Ta-da! So you can do it the rolling pin trick, or you can do it the wax paper or plastic paper trick. Plastic wrap. Either one. I think wax paper or parchment paper works better than the plastic wrap. Plastic wrap is called cling wrap for a reason. Sometimes it sticks. Just very gently lift it up, bring it in, and then just start attaching it, pushing it into the sides. Make sure your bottom little nooks and crannies are pushed into the crease in the bottom. See, there's a reason why Play-Doh is so popular. It is something pleasurable, and there's a reason why baking is so popular, because it just reminds you of being a kid playing with the Play-Doh. Why play with the dough and throw it out? Just make real dough, and then you got two pleasures. You get the pleasure of making and playing with the Play-Doh. Sometimes you put your finger like this and push it into the sides instead of your fingertip. You don't rip the dough. Fingernails. I don't have any, but for those of you with nails, as most people have, that I don't. That works. Use the... Okay. That one I actually rolled out a little bigger than the other ones. Have less deep pieces to patch. So you can either use a little knife, or you can use your little thingy, your scraper. Which I have very little here to patch. One little piece here. One little hole in the bottom. And there we go. Just make sure my sides are all nice and tight. Not gonna fall in on me. And I have some leftover dough. So I'm gonna have enough, I think, for that extra small one. So I do have a little bit more ricotta in the fridge. So later on I'll make one extra one. Let's see. Let's move these out here. I'm gonna use this. So do one big spread around the bottom. And then what I'm going to put in this one, sliced zucchini. Now this will cook in here, no problem. So I'm not going to pre-cook. Move that out of the way for a minute. I'm not going to pre-cook the zucchini, but the onions, it does make a difference if you pre-cook those. Actually, you know what? I'm going to save this for the dough. I'm just going to use another cutting board on top of this. That way I don't have to wipe down the dough board. So, whoops. One little spot there. I'm going to cut this in half, and I'm going to cut it in thin. Now, either way, you can cut this in little circles. You can cut it in long. Actually, no, I'm going to do little circles. Now that I just told you that, I'm going to cut it in little thin circles. You can cut it in little cubes, like I was talking about yesterday when we were preserving these. You can do it however way you want to layer it. I like the thin pieces in this. You know, I like the meat in cubes. I like the veggies in skinny pieces. They don't have to be perfect, but I do like them. I'm going to try to get them as close to the same size. So if yours are a little thicker, that's fine. Just make them all the same so they'll cook evenly. Or if you want to put little cubetti, little cubes, you can do that too. Oh, these are nice. Man, I'm like a machine. As soon as I say that, I cut a thicker one. Now I'm down to the end. So I can get one more out of this. Yep. Okay. So now I'm going to layer the bottom with the zucchini. And you know, you could add, traditionally, there's no vegetables in your standard meat one. It's all meat and cheese. But I don't see why not. Just me. Whether I lived in Italy or not, I'd probably put the caramelized onions in there because that would be just the bomb. Okay, so I've got one layer. Let me get my onions. Now they've cooled off some. Yep, I can handle it. Let's use the little tongs. I'm just going to see these beautiful, look at how they're just perfectly, beautifully, just lightly golden. I'm just going to spread this around a little. This was one really big onion, but I want to make sure I've got enough for at least 2 layers in here, which I do. I'm just gonna spread that. Doesn't, believe me, you don't need much of this to give it that flavor. It's so pungent. Put one more little piece in there. Okay, all right, that's cool. Let's put some ricotta in here. I'm gonna rip this up. I'm not even gonna worry about cutting it. A little bit of the ricotta on top. Let's see, I'm not putting any meat in this one, so let's put some more of this. Did I say ricotta? That's mozzarella. Good grief. As I pick up the ricotta, I realize what I just said. Okay. So nice. Nice little spread around. One more little blob over here. I think I'm gonna put a little of the shredded mozzarella in. A handful of that. You know, this is how you want to do it. I'm gonna throw in some of the fontina. I'm gonna make little skinny pieces. Random. This one's gonna be more random. This one's so non-traditional. You don't have a vegetarian Easter meat pie, but sometimes people are vegetarian, and sometimes it just tastes good. I'm not vegetarian, but boy do I love this. Okay, that's good. Nice even amount around there. Let's throw one more little piece in. Just because every time I say I'm done, I want to throw in one more. Let's just throw it. Oh, there's a piece stuck to the knife. There we go. All right, some more zucchini. Nice layer. I feel like I'm dealing cards, round cards. I only have a couple pieces, so I'm just going to throw them in. There we go. And some more of the onions. I guarantee you, even if you don't make a great big giant one, make a little one like this. I guarantee you, you won't be sorry. And again, you could just add these ingredients to a meat one, but there's something about the tradition of the meat pie and all of this. So I'm going to finish this up with the top of the ricotta. Actually, I have a little bit left, which I'm going to just add to the stuff I'm making later. Oops, accidentally almost opened it up. No, maybe not. And you know, I think I'm going to add just a few more slices of zucchini to top it off, because I like the green showing through at the top a little bit, the little pieces that you'll see. That's pretty. Oh, you know what would be really cool? To shred some zucchini for the top. Ooh, I'm going to do that. Oh, let's try it. What the heck? Shredder. Let's do it this way. I have some in the freezer from yesterday, but you know, I've got this here right now. So we've got 2 layers of slices, and then we've got this. Oh, how pretty is that? Of course, you're not going to really see it, but even so. I did it on the bigger grate. If you're lucky enough to get one of those graters that has that little bit of a bigger grate on it, I recommend it. And look, I have this little teeny bit left. Might as well finish it up. Waste not, want not. I'm sorry now that I cut the top off. Let's see if I can shred my thumb. Oh, I'm good. Look at that. I got it down to that little piece. Years and years of experience in shredding fingers, and you learn how to do it right. All right. Well, then if I'm doing this, I'm going to throw a little bit more of these. I'm going to have a little bit more onions in. So you can see what that looks like. Isn't that beautiful? And that's it. I'm gonna now move this aside. I got one little piece of zucchini on there. Okay. We're gonna roll out our last piece of dough. Move this aside. Ooh, those babies are heavy, let me tell you. That was a little bit of flour. We're gonna roll out another piece to make the top. I already put the flour down, so I'm not gonna pull out the wax paper. Roll it into the flour. Okay. So, I know, so that I don't mix them up, even though there's not going to be an issue with that. I'm going to make this one straight instead of the little zigzag cutter. So, actually, I think the straight ones that are just cut with the knife are actually more rustic looking because, you know, in the old days, I don't think they had the zigzag cutters like they have now, the pastry cutters. I think I might have enough here to do the whole thing. Get my workout in. Look. Bicep curls. Oh, I hope my kids aren't watching. Oh man, those came out absolutely perfect across. So now, if you don't have any edges to roll in, it doesn't really matter. And you can also do this on a crisscross. Oh, let me show you how to do that. So, instead of making it like a cross, make it like an X. So just, let me see if I can do this without breaking it. Do it more X style. And you do the same thing, you just Xing it instead of, the three are going the same way, but then the other ones are going angled. Piece there in the middle. This one's got a crack in it, but it's going to go right underneath the other cross mark, so nobody's going to see it. Ta-da! So this one's going to be X'd. Isn't that kind of cool? So just another way to do it. If you end up needing an extra little piece of dough, you can take these pieces of dough and just kind of fold it in if you need it, but this is really fine. All right. Quarantine Kitchen Special Easter Pizza Rustica, Pizza Ripiena, stuffed pizza. Pizza Chiena means full stuffed pizza. I'm just going to gently pinch these, but just barely because they're not as big as the other one. But it's actually quite pretty. See? You can see the little bit of green showing through, just a smidge. And we are going to brush this one with the egg as well. So you can make them like this and bake them today, or you can make them tomorrow, but don't eat the meat pie tomorrow. You know, you can make the vegetarian one to have for Good Friday. That would be a cool thing to do. Maybe we'll do that. Okay. So, wow, I used up a whole hour doing that. That's my normal time. But I have the vegetarian pie and the meat pie. These are going to go in the oven in a little while. You can then put these in the refrigerator. Honestly, I've seen people leave them out for 2 days. But if you want to be safe, put them in the fridge. you want to make these to have for, a lot of people have them on Holy Saturday. Some people have them as a side dish on Easter Sunday. I like these. In Italy, Easter Monday is called Pasquetta, which is kind of like Little Easter. And it's the day after Easter, and people go out, and they go out, and usually if the weather's nice, they go out and have picnics, or they have parties. They have get-togethers, and everybody just brings something, or everybody cooks together. They grill out. They go out on the mountain. That's how we do it in my town anyway. Down to the mill, to one of the parks. It's just a beautiful, beautiful time. And I like these. Now, this is not typical of Roseto, my town. Roseto Val Fortore, they do not make these. This is a truly Neapolitan area dish that I have adopted because I just love it. And I think I started making these, gosh, like 20 years ago when I moved to New Jersey, because all the Italians around me are mostly Neapolitan from Naples area. So this is a very traditional thing there, and I've adopted it, and I've made it in my town in Italy, and everybody loves it. Well, at least they said they did. So anyway, so I'm going to wash my hands. We're going to sit down and chat just for a minute, and then we will sign off for the day. Take my towel, dry my hands. Oh my goodness, I've got flour. That's why bakers wear white. But still, black is where it's at. It's Holy Thursday, which was the Last Supper. And if you're Catholic, the Mass is basically the Last Supper every Sunday. It is it is the last meal. It is how we celebrate. It is very obvious that in so many cultures and in so many faiths, the table is the center of everything important. So whether you're Catholic or Christian or not, we all know that, Jesus chose his last get-together with the gang as a supper. It was the Last Supper. It was all about, the bread and the wine. We eat and we drink. Not to excess, but this is how we celebrate. And this is a very, very typical Italian thing. And it's what we do. And it's how we come together as people, as communities, as friends, as family. So I urge you, have a nice dinner together at the table with your family tonight, no matter what your faith, because we all have family and we all have heritage. And that's what bonds us. It all comes together. So I wish you all a good Holy Thursday. Yesterday was also the start of Passover. So Passover is the next... Okay, forgive me, I'm not Jewish, but I think it's 8 days. Get a little inspiration and come together with your families today. Let this be Family Table Thursday for everybody. My kids. All right, I knew this was going to come up sometime. Might as well do it now. So I was just asked, what's the tattoo on my wrist? I have 3 tattoos. So number 1 was this one here. It's backwards. It says, if you can understand it, Il mio cuore è tuo per sempre. It means my heart is yours forever. This was my 25th anniversary present to my husband 5 years ago, because he's got tattoos and I never had one. And when I got it, he told me, "Oh, you're not a nerd anymore." So anyway, so I got a tattoo. Then, oh God, I'm not showing you right now. I have one on my ankle. It is the town crest of my village in Italy, Roseto Val Fortore. It's the Stemma di Roseto. I'm the only one that has it. I'll post a picture of it. And then this one here is a rose that my daughter and I both got together, and she decided, because our town in Italy is Roseto, which is the town of roses. The rose is actually in my crest on my ankle as well. But it's a 5-petal rose that is our flower in Italy. And the town we live in, that she grew up in Madison, New Jersey, is titled, its little nickname is the Rose City, because this town was always full of rose gardens. So for her, she wanted to get her first tattoo with me, and so I agreed, and so we both got them right here on our bicep. And because someday I'm going to make that, no, I don't know, make it look prettier if it's on a nice muscle. Hers looks really good. Mine looks okay. But anyway. she chose it. So that is reminiscent of where she grew up and where she grew up, because she grew up going to Roseto, Italy. So this has dual meaning for us. So anyway, so that's my tattoo story. Have a good day. Mwah. Ciao.